The Tudors. Learning intention to gain an impression of King Henry VIII. Now today children will be learning about the great Tudor king, King Henry VIII. Henry VIII was the second Tudor king after his father Henry VII. Henry's first wife was a Spanish princess named Catherine of Aragon. She did give him a daughter called Mary, but did not have a son. Henry is famous for his large weight and 6 wives, but as a young king, he was a keen sportsman and a talented soldier. Field of Cloth of Gold. The Field of the Cloth of Gold was one of the most spectacular events of Henry VIII's reign. When he was at the height of his power in 1520, he visited France to make peace with King Francis I. Known as the Field of the Cloth of Gold due to the golden embroidered tents provided by Henry, no expense was spared on 2 weeks of feasts, parties, and entertainment. Break with Rome. Henry VIII wanted to divorce Catherine of Aragon and marry Anne Boleyn so that he could have a son. Henry was a Catholic and the Pope would not allow him to have a divorce. In 1534, Henry was declared head of the Church of England and England became a Protestant nation. He was now able to have his divorce. This was known as the break with Rome. Dissolution of monasteries. Before the Reformation, England had many monasteries and abbeys full of monks and nuns, which owned an enormous amount of land and were very rich. Once England became Protestant, these institutions were all closed down and their wealth was seized by the king. This was called the dissolution of the monasteries and it made a lot of money for Henry VIII. So these are some pictures of monasteries and ruined abbeys and priories. By seizing land from the Catholic Church, the Crown increased its income by around £150,000. Discuss what Henry VIII could spend that money on. Now, since Henry VIII was so worried about having a male heir, he married 6 times. As the rhyme goes, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. Now, if you get a chance, children, just go on YouTube and you can watch the rhyme on YouTube. Henry VIII's 38-year reign was highly eventful. He invaded France twice, founded the Royal Navy, married 6 times, executed 2 Lord Chancellors, and established the Church of England. However, he had one ongoing frustration. He was desperate to have a son, but despite marrying 6 times, he only had one son called Edward, who suffered from ill health. Part of Henry's concern was that he knew if he did not have a male heir, England would fall again into civil war, just like the brutal War of the Roses the previous century, which his father ended. After Henry VIII's death, his only son was crowned Edward VI, but he died 6 years later. By the end of his life, Henry VIII was sad that he had never produced a healthy male heir to be king. He died overweight and depressed. This is King Edward VI, King Henry's son.